Let's talk about the business model that you are too scared to admit that you want out loud. We're going to be really honest here today. You are not just wanting more income, okay? And let's just get rid of any guilt around wanting more income. But you are also wanting more space. Maybe you're dreaming of charging higher prices, working fewer hours, also wanting to feel deeply held and fully resourced and still being seen as powerful and credible, but you're hesitating to say it, even in the privacy of your journal, because the moment that you get honest, everybody else's thoughts and opinions creep in. The guilt creeps in. Who am I to want more and do less? Will they think that I'm lazy? Can I even hold a business if I am not on it or in it all the time? And if any part of you is whispering yes to those questions, then this episode is for you. So welcome back to Resourced. My name is Jessica Reed. If we have not met, I help soul-led women build businesses that reflect the leader that they are now, not the one that they were trained to be. And today I am going to share why most women inherit a business model rather than choosing one. We're going to talk about the quiet guilt that contracts and keeps us overworking. And then we are going to talk about 2 real transitions in my own business and what it took for me to actually confidently name what I really wanted. And yes, if this stirs up something in you, then I'm going to tell you at the very end how you, as a podcast listener, can book a free 30-minute diagnostic call with me. Again, it is only available to podcast listeners and only through September and October. I also want to share with you too that if you have been listening to me for a little while and you are kind of getting that pull, like, oh, I feel like I might really want to get in her world and work with her, the mastermind, the Transcendence Mastermind, prices are rising on the 1st of October. So if this is something that you would like to explore, now is the time to step in closer and have a conversation. So here is something that I have learned over and over, okay? Most of us do not actually choose our first business model. I believe we inherit it. We inherit it from hustle culture. We inherit it from our industries, from our mentors that we've put on pedestals. And that model is almost always built on a survival mode or some kind of guilt. Okay, if it's easy, it's not valuable. If I charge more, then I need to be on 24/7. If I don't serve everyone, then I'm selfish. You know those thoughts, okay? I'm sure you've got your own version of those thoughts. So then what happens, and this is something that I think a lot of us really don't want to name out loud, is that we will then build a business that we resent. Because deep down, we think that suffering earns us safety. Okay, so what if instead of pretending that you don't have these desires, okay, pretending that you wouldn't love a little bit more space in your calendar, pretending that you wouldn't love the type of lifestyle that you dream of while still running a successful business, and I'm not saying that is easy, and I'm definitely not saying that it happens overnight, but what if instead of hiding from that, and you stopped actually apologizing for it? What if you stopped shrinking it and started really owning it? So I honestly wasn't willing to name this either. Okay, there were probably 2 seasons in my business that really cracked this open for me. And the first was when I really moved into business mentoring. I knew I was ready for it, but I was terrified that people would think that I was selling out or I didn't care about the depth of work that I was doing anymore. But what I had to really do was name my truth. I wanted to lead women at a different level. It wasn't about abandoning the trauma work. In fact, we still do a lot of deep healing. I like to say that the work that I do is the intersection between strategy and healing. But what it was for me was really about expanding it. And the second time that really challenged me for this in my business was when I changed my one-on-one model. So for the first few years of my business, I really had to break away from that mentality that access equaled value. Okay, that I believed that being available all the time made me a good mentor. Okay, I had to pull back from almost feeling shameful or afraid to hold boundaries in my business, to hold boundaries around Voxer, to also change the model that is done so traditionally in that sort of traditional healing space, to be able to change that into something that is more scalable, that didn't have me back to back with 5, 6, 7, 8 clients a day, which I loved. Don't get me wrong. I loved it. But I believe you can only hold that for so long. And you know, the amount of therapists that I've worked with as clients, they have all mirrored that same thing back to me. You can only hold that business model for so long because at some point, you are capped. You're capped with your income, you're capped with your time, but you also become capped with your capacity. And this was something that I almost felt like I was nearly ashamed to say that I wanted a different business model. I wanted one that didn't rely on me having to show up and directly trade dollars for hours. When I finally let myself want what I wanted, everything opened. And I had more clarity, I had more energy, and I had better client results too because I was showing up in a different way. I was not depleted in my body and in my mind and in my energy for my clients. I was able to give more depth, which is something that I was actually scared of losing. So the model that fits you now might look radical from the outside. I have had conversations with some people who are still in that traditional therapy space, and it's almost like this judgment. Oh, you've got 2 calls today and it's not till 12 o'clock? Well, you know, like, okay, because they're back to back to back and earning less of an income. And again, if that's the business model that works for you, amazing. But for me, I wanted something different. And so, yeah, right now it might look really radical from the outside, but it may actually start to feel at home in your body if you are brave enough to step into it, if you are brave enough to say that you want something different. Honestly, we normalize these conversations inside of my mastermind. The conversation around building from clarity, from building from alignment. Because the right model, I believe it will stretch you. Because the thing is that business model that is meant for you, it should stretch you. It will challenge your pricing fears. It will ask you to let go of the busyness badge. It will confront your need to prove and your need to keep everybody happy. And that's why most people don't choose it. They feel the desire, but they back away because it makes them feel exposed. Because the work to get there, again, your business cannot outgrow your identity. So the work to get there, it is uncomfortable. So if your next move does not make you a little bit nervous, maybe it shouldn't be your next move. And maybe you should consider being in a space like a mastermind where you don't have to do that stretch alone. Where you're in a room where your expansion isn't just allowed, but it's actually celebrated. You really are allowed to go first. Some clients will say, oh, I really want to do this, but I haven't seen anyone do it this way. Maybe that's exactly the whole point. Maybe you're here to build a model that honors your capacity, not your conditioning. So go and find a mentor, find someone who will hold that vision with you and even for you when you start to doubt it. And no, it might not look like your industry has taught you, but that doesn't make it wrong. Okay? Look at all of the traditional businesses that are moving into a membership model now. Hairdressers with memberships for blow waves. You know, it might not be traditionally what is done in an industry. I got a phone call last year and I rang them. I rang the pest people. We get our house sprayed once a year. Spiders and I are not friends. So we got our house sprayed once a year and I rang them and I wanted to book in just a regular pest spray. Now they had switched to a membership model and they said the only way that they would come and do this spray is if we were on a monthly maintenance plan. Okay. So again, not the way that it is traditionally done in that industry, but there are people who are challenging the norm. And I know I just mentioned memberships twice. You absolutely do not have to go into a membership model. My newest offer, my newest way to work one-on-one is voice only. It is frequency focused. Okay. You don't have to do, all of the 2 Zoom calls a month or the way that you always think that it should be. I really want you to check in on those shoulds. This is why when I teach people to build offers, we do it through my soul aligned offer system. And a part of that is really tailoring this offer to how you uniquely operate, how you best operate from the lens of your time, your energy, your capacity, your human design, your astrology, your strengths, your life experiences, your unique gifts. That is how you should be delivering your offers. Okay? Not just in the 2 calls a month and monthly masterclasses because that's what you've seen everybody else do. So, if this conversation has switched on a light for you and you are circling a shift and you are craving clarity, I told you I'm very excited about this. For the month of September and October only, I am offering a free 30-minute diagnostic call only to podcast listeners. Okay, so together we will spend 30 minutes identifying your true bottleneck in your business right now, whether it be internal or strategic, and we will map out the next step in your business model's evolution, okay, so that you can recalibrate and move forward. And then if it aligns, we can talk about what a next step could be. All right. This is where those brave, bold business models are born. So let it be more easeful for you. Again, I didn't say easy. Business is not easy. If it was, everybody would be doing it. Okay? But you are the woman who has chosen. I want you to remember you have chosen to enter into this because you know there is a part of you that knows you can handle it. Now, entrepreneurship is the biggest personal, spiritual development that you can enter into. Every fear that you have about yourself will be faced. Okay? So let's make it as easeful as possible. Let's let these offers reflect you. Let's let this business model reflect you because you are not asking for too much. Okay? And if the people around you who don't understand your desire to make 50K months or 100K months or even 10K months, if that's where your desire lays, if they don't understand your need to do that or your desire to do that or your desire to have every Friday off or to be working a 20-hour week, if they don't understand that, that's okay. Get yourself in a room with people who do. All right? And maybe you don't desire a 20-hour week. Maybe you want a 40-hour work week. That's okay too. But let's make sure that the way that your business model is set up is honoring you and your strengths and your skills and your energy. Okay, you are allowed to say it. You are allowed to build it. You are allowed to want what is actually going to work for you, and I would love to help you build it. So, thank you so much for joining me. Go and book your free diagnostic call. As I said, podcast listeners only, September and October only, and I will see you next week. Bye for now. Thank you for tuning in to Resource with Jessica Reed. If today's episode spoke to you, I'd love for you to share it with another soul-led entrepreneur who is also ready to rise. Make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and stay connected because when you are deeply resourced, you become unstoppable. Until next time, my friend, stay resourced, stay radiant, and trust in the magic that is you.